Ladies and gentlemen, seekers and companions of truth. Today, I wish to speak with you about a subject that lies at the very heart of both philosophy and the spiritual life: isolation as the path to true human intelligence. We live in a world filled with noise, not only the literal noise of traffic, chatter, and constant messages, but the noise of endless distractions, of ambitions projected upon us, desires that do not belong to us, of fears that are never fully examined. In such a world, solitude appears almost threatening. Yet, as the great Arthur Schopenhauer recognized, it is in solitude that the mind and the spirit encounter their deepest clarity. Schopenhauer, the German philosopher, often called the philosopher of pessimism, believes that the highest forms of human intelligence and creativity can only emerge in isolation. But why? Because in solitude we are released from the tyranny of the opinions of others. We no longer mirror ourselves in the eyes of society, in the shallow recognition of applause or approval. Instead, we face the rawness of our own being. For Schopenhauer, ordinary life is dominated by what he called the will, that blind, insatiable force that drives all of nature, from the sprouting of a plant to the restless striving of humankind. In our day-to-day life, we are caught in the clutches of this will, endlessly desiring, endlessly chasing, endlessly distracted. But in solitude, something miraculous happens. The grip of the will loosens. We begin to glimpse the world not as a battlefield of desires, but as something we can contemplate in purity. And in that contemplation, the higher intelligence, the true intelligence, begins to unfold. Yet notice how deeply people resist isolation. Why is solitude often feared? Because when we are alone, we must confront everything that has been ignored, suppressed, and pushed into the depths of our psyche. The griefs we never mourned, the fears we avoided, the truths about ourselves we could not bear to acknowledge, all rise to the surface when the distractions are stripped away. This confrontation is terrifying. Most prefer to run from it, to return to the company of others, to drown in entertainment, to keep scrolling, to keep busy. For to sit in silence is to encounter the wilderness within. Schopenhauer knew this well. He himself lived much of his life in chosen isolation, convinced that the masses, in their constant chatter, only dulled the mind. He once wrote that a man can only be himself so long as he is alone. It is a striking claim that to be with others is in some sense to lose oneself. But here is the deeper truth. Isolation is not merely deprivation, it is transformation. Like the caterpillar weaving itself into a cocoon, solitude seems at first like a kind of death. The death of social identity, of outward engagement, of worldly recognition. It is a period of darkness and enclosure. But within that cocoon, a silent alchemy is taking place. The old form dissolves. The hidden self begins to take shape. And when the cocoon finally breaks, what emerges is not the same creature that entered. What emerges is the butterfly, radiant, free, capable of flight. In spiritual terms, this is precisely what happens when we dare to enter isolation. By facing what is buried, by allowing silence to reveal us to ourselves, we undergo the great metamorphosis of consciousness. Our true self emerges, not the self constructed by society, not the mask we wear, but the self rooted in being, in spirit, in intelligence. Now, what do we mean by true intelligence? It is not mere cleverness, nor the quick solving of puzzles or accumulation of facts. True intelligence is the capacity to see reality as it is. It is the awakening of awareness that transcends the narrow striving of the will. In isolation, freed from noise, we begin to perceive patterns that were once invisible. We begin to intuit meaning, beauty, and purpose, not as something imposed, but as something revealed. This is why many of history's greatest thinkers, mystics, and creators have valued solitude. From the desert fathers to the poets in their garrets, from sages in mountain caves to philosophers in their quiet studies. They discovered that only in solitude can spirit speak to spirit. And here, Schopenhauer's philosophy converges with the spiritual vision. Intelligence is not merely of the brain, it is of the soul. When we live from that soul intelligence, we align with a deeper purpose, to know ourselves, to live authentically, to experience existence as a sacred unfolding. But let us be honest, this path requires courage. To enter isolation is to face ourselves without escape. It is to meet the shadows we have long denied. Many discover that the first phase of solitude is not peace, but turbulence. The mind rebels, old pains resurface, and fear grows loud. And yet if one perseveres, a shift occurs. The storm passes, the shadows lose their power, and in their place comes stillness. A stillness that is luminous, a stillness in which we glimpse who we truly are. This is the turning point, the moment when isolation ceases to be imprisonment and becomes liberation. And so, out of solitude, there emerges not only self-knowledge, but purpose. The one who has faced themselves no longer needs to borrow meaning from society. They no longer live in imitation. They live in truth. Purpose, then, is not discovered in books or granted by authority. It is born from the direct encounter with spirit that solitude makes possible. And once found, it radiates outwards, transforming not only the individual, but also the world around them. The butterfly does not fly for applause, yet in its very flight it inspires. Similarly, the awakened individual does not live for recognition, yet their very being becomes a gift. So what does this mean for us today? It means that if we wish to rise into true intelligence, if we wish to live as more than mere echoes of society, we must reclaim solitude, not as an escape, not as a withdrawal from life, but as a sacred discipline, a daily practice, a willingness to sit, to listen, to endure the silence until the silence begins to speak. This is not easy, but it is essential. For in this way do we awaken to what Schopenhauer hinted at, the possibility of transcending the blind will and touching a higher order of reality. To isolate is not to diminish oneself, it is to return to oneself. It is to enter the cocoon, to face the shadows, to wait in silence, and to emerge radiant, with wings of spirit, with the light of intelligence, with the clarity of purpose. Schopenhauer's insight remains as urgent today as ever. We can only be ourselves when we are alone. But let us add, once we have become ourselves in solitude, then we can return to the world, not as imitators, but as creators, not as seekers of approval, but as givers of truth. So I invite you, step into isolation, not with fear, but with reverence. Trust the cocoon, trust the process, and watch as your true self emerges, luminous, intelligent, and free. Thank you.